St. Peter Claver is not actually a common name on the lips of most people like St. Francis of Assisi or St. Anthony, the finder of lost things. But St. Peter Claver was an amazing man. He was born in Spain about 400 years ago. And he felt a calling to the priesthood and he became a Jesuit and felt called to go to the New World that was just being um, inhabited by the people from Europe coming over to this new world. He went to Cartagena in Colombia, which is in the northern part of South America, was one of the major ports of slave trade. At one point, there were 10,000 slaves a year coming in across on boats. The life that these people lived was just beyond our comprehension. Many of them would be captured, whole families, and chained and forced to march all across the continent from the Congo all the way to the coast. And then from the coast to be put on slave ships, down in the hold of the ship for months on end, crammed together like sardines in conditions that are beyond anything we can imagine. No sanitation and no light, barely enough food to get by. The place was just filled with disease and illness. And literally a third of them would die often on the way over on the trip across the Atlantic Ocean. And at a certain point in the trip, they would go down and retrieve all of the dead bodies and dump them into the sea. And it became such a common practice that schools of sharks would hang out around that area, knowing that every so often it would be feeding time. And then if they did survive and make it to the United States, some of the slave traders and the people on the ship thought it was funny to learn just enough about their language to get on into the hold of the ship and terrorize them and tell them, you're going to a new country where these people that live there are going to eat you. They were terrified. And out of the midst of it all, when they came into the port, St. Peter Claver would come not just to the port, but he would go down into the hold of the ships and he would greet them. Not knowing most of their languages, not knowing what to expect. Imagine what it was like seeing a man dressed in all in black coming in to see them in all their worst nightmares. But he came with baskets of sweet biscuits and lemons and oranges and brandy and wine to wash their wounds and cloth to bind their wounds. And he would have the people carry them out and put them out on the ground in the port area. And he would minister to them. And through translators, he would witness to them about the love of God. And he's credited with personally baptizing 300,000 slaves. He considered himself the slave of the slaves. He spent his life working to make their lives better. And when it was the season when the ships weren't coming, he would go to the plantations and witness to them and teach them about the catechism. He would teach them about the faith, not just with his words, but more than anything else, with his actions. They were terrified when he came, but he would get so excited whenever he heard a ship was coming in. He would run around and beg for food and beg for brandy to be able to wash their wounds. And at first he was considered a major nuisance, as you can imagine, because anytime you do things to help other people that are downtrodden, often it's considered a nuisance in society. But he got so excited, they said that his face would glow, and even the mayor of the town of Cartagena would love it when he would come to his home looking for a handout, because he loved to see the glow or the look on his face that he was going to go and help the poorest of the poor. And he went and he witnessed to them. And he spoke to them in words, in the silences when words are not enough. They looked into his eyes and saw the love of Christ. And he spoke to them, de corazón a corazón, from heart to heart, beyond anything that words could say. And he remains a witness to us, not just that we should witness to those people that don't know about the love of Christ, and that we should help those who are downtrodden, or those who are captive, whether it's to sin or to some other kind of slavery. But it's not just what we do, it's how we do. And if we do it with a love of God, there'll be a glow of us around us as well. And people will know that Christ lives within us. And if we can do that and try and minister within our own country, within our towns, within our families, we'll transform our world, just as Peter Claver did in his small portion of the world.